Welcome to Drink Till We're Married podcast. Here, the cocktails are crafted, relationships are always the topic of conversation, and our guests are put in the hot seat. Cheers. Heycutie's here with another episode of Drink Till We're Married podcast, and I have a very special guest with me, Miss B.
Hey,
Welcome to the show.
glad to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Next time, I'll have you bartend. Okay.
Much nice in the back.
Yeah. You know what? I thought about like changing the setup.
Yeah.
So I can have a guest and then have like a bartender.
Yeah.
So I'd have to
You
move
have the
wherever.
little magic word. You say this word, you got to drink.
Andy Cohen.
Yep. Why not?
But we are drinking. And we are drinking Be Hot, honey. And it's made with Maker's Mark 46, orange bitters, hot honey. It was muddled with fresh oranges, and it's garnished with a cherry that was soaked in bourbon and an
Always
orange
soaked.
slice. Always soaked. Cheers. Oh, and there is a little club soda on top. Woo, because honey,
Mhm.
it's hot.
And we already hot. So
It's all good. We cute. And it's Christmas. So,
Okay.
yes. So, we're also going to put you in the hot seat. So, hot honey, hot seat.
Okay, we ready.
5 questions.
That's it. All right.
First, it's one or the other, just whichever one comes to mind first.
Okay.
All right. So, let someone go through your text messages or your camera reel.
Okay. Camera reel.
Okay. Do you prefer to be needed or wanted?
Wanted.
Jodeci or 112?
112.
Oh, I'm so shocked by that.
Oh, 112.
Okay. I love it. Yes. I love this. Okay. Have more time or more money?
More time.
And then, of course, married at first sight or love is blind?
Married. First sight. Just finished watching the episode on my way here.
I have to get caught up so we can talk about it.
Oh my goodness. It's a whole show itself.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'll get caught up, I guess. So I've been having conversations about marriage and, just how people, men and women, how they feel about marriage, just their thoughts on marriage. And I want to talk today just more so about, take the rose, for me, it's taking the rose colored glasses off, right?
I'm good at that.
And getting to understand like some of the things that single women and men don't think about when they're wanting to get married, right? So it's like I'm single and I'm thinking, oh yeah, we're moving together and we share space and we'll figure out the finances, all these things. But what are the other, like those are the big things, like about those things. What are some of the smaller things that when you got married, so you've been married 15 years, when you got married, you just did not know about? It's like, what's that saying? You can fight until you get punched in the face. What is that? You haven't heard that? Oh, Mike Tyson. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, you have a game, you have a plan until you get punched in your face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So I would say the first thing that came to mind when you said that was the things you don't know is what really matters. Like it's little things that you don't realize that matter. And you won't experience those until you're living together in the day-to-day situation.
Okay.
So it's really not, you can't really put your finger on one thing because life is going to give you everything to figure it out.
Okay.
So if I had to give you an example, let's say your spouse likes coffee.
Yeah.
And you don't care. You good with just drinking water. But if you're for me, I'm the person that got the groceries and did all that. I'm like, oh, I forgot coffee. No big deal, right?
Oh.
But it's like, what do you mean there's no coffee? Like, there's some things that can make someone like get elevated because it's that important to them. But that's what I'm saying. It's like trivial things,
right?
Like you wouldn't know that it was important to keep coffee in the house And to this day,
Right.
I know
That it's important.
grocery lists, we always need this in the house, regardless. And I
Yeah.
learned that probably week 2, even though have been together for like 3 years.
Yeah. But did you live together before you got married?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, we did.
Okay.
So, I mean, but we spent a lot of time together,
Yes.
but still it was
But
like,
you're still, if you're living separate, you're doing your own grocery shopping.
yeah,
If you're at his house,
yeah,
But did he
yeah.
ever come to your house? And I guess that I can't really use that example because
It's still not until you even spending time together, even long weekends together, something
right.
that can happen.
Yeah.
But you don't get the
The
day-to-day
day-to-day.
expectations
Mm,
of lifestyle.
expectations. I
Yes.
think that's one thing that even for yourself, like I always
Mhm.
say, I'm low maintenance. I don't really need much.
You
Right?
don't realize what you need
Yes.
until, again, I will go back to this all day, till life presents a different situation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize how to respond in that situation? So you got to keep, like you said, if you want to use the fighting and have a plan,
Yeah.
you got fighter 1 on this week, fighter 2 the next
Mm.
week, fighter 3 and 4 week 3.
Right.
So it's like you never know what life is getting ready to bring to you,
Mm-hmm.
to say, oh, this is how I respond in this situation. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it kind of just comes back to realizing that there are learning pieces
Yeah.
in as you go that you're going to apply later.
Okay. So you should be learning
All day. 15 years, still learning.
Yeah. And that's on both sides,
Mhm.
right? So then it's like, how much does playing so I'm super independent? I think I've only lived with
Same.
someone twice.
Mhm.
So being very independent,
Mhm.
are you really allowing your mate, even before you get married, to learn you? Because you tend to do so much for yourself.
I feel kind of
Okay.
right. So there's part of me, you gotta realize the why and everything, and like, why
Mhm.
are you independent? For
Mm.
me, I'm a little more independent because I don't want to deal with disappointment.
Me too. Oh my
Right.
goodness, yes.
So if I don't want to deal with being disappointed, I figure like let me handle it myself. And if I get disappointed, it's on me.
Right.
And I don't want to like lean. And then I don't want someone to control or be the basis of my. I don't want to use the word control, but be the root of all of my emotion.
Okay.
So I don't want my happiness to be dependent
Right.
on someone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my sadness to be so dependent on someone.
Mm-hmm.
So my independence is to shelter, sadly,
Protect.
shelter
Mm-hmm.
and protect
Mm-hmm.
myself. So when they, okay, to your question, like, do they get a chance to know? They know that you are independent,
Okay.
right? So they know that in these situations, she wants to do it by herself.
Okay.
And then there's some things I'm not independent on. Like
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it's some things I'm like, I want this help on, or I want
Okay.
you to, maybe it's just to listen. Like that's a piece of
Right.
dependency. So I think they know that you're independent,
Mm-hmm.
and that spouse of yours knows that, oh, I'm dealing with an independent woman or independent man.
Mm-hmm.
How will I navigate around that?
Right. Okay. So
So why are you so independent?
For me, I think it's a couple of things.
Mhm.
One, when I want something done, I want it done when I want it done.
Mhm.
So if I can do it myself, I'm going to do it myself.
Mhm.
Two, I think it's part of that protecting myself. I don't want to be labeled as needy,
Say
right? And I am the youngest, so I'm the youngest child. My brother is in the middle.
Mhm.
So it would always be
Gay middle kids.
he and I. Yeah, they crazy. Look, sorry. He's crazy, I'll say.
I'm just crazy.
No, I haven't seen that yet. Look. But I think it's the way we were raised. Like I don't want to say tortured me, but created a situation where I was like, I'm gonna figure this out on my own. Yes.
Independent thinking too is
Yes.
really good. Like
Yes.
it makes you resilient. It
Mm-hmm.
allows you to handle when situations come.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to be remiss and say that I don't know sometimes when to fall back.
Yes.
I know I try to fall back in scenarios because, again, if I'm appreciating and understanding what my
Mhm.
spouse needs,
Yes.
if he needs to be able to do A, B, and C,
For you.
and it
Yeah.
conflicts with me being all about me and independent,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I need to fall back. And I will always believe that my belief is that the man is the head
Yes.
and I'm his neck,
Mm-hmm.
right? To help him see some things.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can trust that the God in him
Yeah.
is like leading him, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with necking.
Yes. Right.
You
Right.
know?
I'm naked.
Good.
Yes.
But when this right here is coming from you as a person and God is
Right.
in the center of it, then it's a little challenging.
Right.
But that's where, and I was kind of thinking ahead. I was like, don't forget, like, when I was just getting married, it's like when I was deciding to get married,
Mm-hmm.
it was, well, I could only do it if it's three ways. If it's three people involved.
Oh, yes. Yes.
There's three people involved, right? So I was like, because if I get frustrated with my spouse, I can always go to who's the core for us,
Yes.
right? And if we
Yes.
both are, connected through the core, then I'm okay with whatever the outcome is.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like that. I really do. So speaking of, and just back on independence for a
Okay.
moment,
Okay.
um, does that make you less vulnerable being independent?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I had to call you out. Well, because it's not call you out, but it's me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Because that's the real thing.
It's hard to be vulnerable because you don't want to be disappointed. You
Yeah,
don't want to
back to what you said.
be,
Absolutely.
I don't want to be hurt. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't think anyone does, but it is a conscious decision for us to be vulnerable.
Right.
So that's a safe space, like from a married person to a single,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that you can be with someone you can trust
Yes.
that
That's huge.
vulnerability to, but it grows.
Yeah.
That grows. It's not, you can be with a person for 10 years
Mm-hmm.
and until again that life situation hits, you don't know, can you be vulnerable in this situation?
Yes.
Like, can I talk to you about what happened at work?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna listen? Are you gonna be on my side? Are you gonna
Right.
understand? Are you just
Yes.
gonna be like, yeah, you're right, you're right,
Right.
Or
Mm-hmm.
can I be vulnerable and say, this is a piece that I think that you say, like, what do people not know?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give your spouse the hard conversations?
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, can you call them out on,
Mm-hmm.
like, they're coming back at you and saying, this is happening at church, or this is happening with my siblings. Can you be able to call them and show them where they're wrong too?
Yes.
And receive it at the same time.
Right.
And
Right.
don't have kids. Let me tell you that, because they're going to start doing it too. They're
Call
like,
you
mommy,
out.
you shouldn't have. Mommy, you need to go here. I mean, there are times they be like, mommy, you just need to go drink some tea and go lie down.
Oh. Yes.
So it's
The little people.
right. So, but what you put out is what you get.
Yeah.
So,
No, I completely agree with that though. And I think like you said, it's both ways, right? It's being vulnerable, the other person not taking advantage of that. Like you have to be able to trust them to hold you in that space.
trust
Yeah.
over time.
Uh, yeah.
For an independent person, it takes
It
time.
takes a long time. I mean, yeah. And there's some things that I might trust you with, but there are certain things that, yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a while.
Yeah, because yeah. I mean, I thank goodness, I thank God for like connections with
Mm-hmm.
friends, like,
Mm-hmm.
that I can be vulnerable in certain situations with
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think that's okay. I think that's one of the things that if I had to, I don't know if it's a jump ahead, but what are some other things that make it work?
Mm-hmm.
Having life
Listen.
outside of that spouse
Yes.
and people.
Outside of it,
Right.
right?
So when we raise children, we say, oh, it takes a village, right?
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a marriage or when you're growing as a person, that village still needs to be there.
Yes.
Right? That village can be one, other couples.
Mm-hmm.
That village can be my bestest
Mm-hmm.
to make sure I'm not crazy.
Listen, I need the sanity check. I do.
Yeah.
My best friend gonna call. She will drag me to the floor and
Right.
whatever. You know what I mean? And I
You need to just
respect it.
check it.
Yes.
Like, just like,
Yes.
was I wrong? How was it just wrong?
Yep. He'd be like, huh? Yes. Yes.
And a lot of times, it will open up spaces where you're like, oh, I
Mm.
didn't look at it that way.
Right.
And what's really cool is if you have that village that thinks like your spouse.
Mm.
So you have someone that thinks like your spouse that's
Yeah.
not your spouse,
Right.
then they can tell you a little bit closer to their perspective.
Right.
Like, well, no, probably this is what they meant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it. Because sometimes it's easier to receive
Yes.
from
someone else.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes. So what are some other ways? So one thing, I don't know why this just popped in my head, was, and it was based on what you just said. I don't know why it popped in my head though. It was like when you, like, having an argument and holding on to whatever happened. How do you work through that? And I know it's forgiveness, of course, but it's hard to forget.
I learned, and everything is learning. I learned that there is a language. They talk about what's your love language?
Mm-hmm.
There is an apology language.
Mm. Okay, tell me more.
There is an apology language.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's in the guy's book who wrote the love
Yeah.
languages, but I just took that and applied it to how does someone apologize,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, how do you communicate you love? How do you communicate you're sorry?
Right.
Right. And I think that everyone does it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I realized my spouse's love language and apology language,
Mm-hmm.
then I could see the apology. I could feel the apology. I could experience the apology, not expecting it to sound like mine.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I may apologize for, like, you know what, Janetta, I'm so sorry. I'm about to finish this drink, and I won't do it next time.
Yeah.
I will sip like you told me to. And
Silly.
but then your language, you might be like, all right.
Yeah.
They don't mean nothing to you. But then let's say you need me to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming the next day and I'm bringing extra
Right.
makers, right?
Right.
I'm showing you that I'm sorry for drinking all your
Mm-hmm.
alcohol by an action, right?
Yeah.
You know how they
Yes.
talk about love languages being like
Yes.
actions and doing?
Yes.
So when I realized, I'm telling you, that is huge. If you can realize how your partner apologizes,
Mm-hmm.
you'll start seeing the trend.
Okay.
And realize this is how they're showing they're sorry.
Right.
They may not have said, I'm sorry because I did this and it made you feel this. It doesn't have to be scripted.
So it could be like, what does that look like outside of verbally apologizing?
Giving you stuff.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Like, give me a gift.
You know what? And it could be little things,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like what they used to call, like say, peace offerings.
Yes.
A peace offering.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, I went to the store and I thought about,
yes,
because they're showing their thoughtfulness. Maybe the argument was over not being thoughtful,
yes,
or not being taken for granted or something. And then they've been thinking about that thing.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the store and they're like, Lord, let me let her know that I heard her.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking about her. It's like, okay, I got you a little this, I got you a little that. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't have, I don't have to have the words.
Right.
Now that I know that this is your apology.
I had never thought about it like that because, I just, like, I'm trying to think, like, I don't get into many arguments or whatever, but that's, and you can use that in any relationship though, right? Yes.
Right. And it may not be an argument, but maybe it's
disagreement. It could be anything.
A disagreement.
Yeah.
Or do you hear what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
Like, I'm trying to tell you, I need you to be able to do this.
Yes. Yes.
You don't seem to be getting it.
Mm-hmm.
You just really have to be open to seeing things differently. Yeah. And I would say, as a single person, growing into learning through my marriage, early years, I had to be really open to seeing things differently.
Okay.
Not what I read in books, not what I
Right.
saw on TV, not what my
Girl.
friends said.
Mm-hmm.
Just understanding them as a person, really analyzing who they are as a person.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Mm.
for my piece.
Right. Well, and that's the thing because it shouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to make it. Not that it shouldn't be hard. You don't want to make it harder for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
all because you're not willing to be open and look for the different signs and really be tuned into that
Mm-hmm.
person.
That shows you're willing, right?
Yeah.
Like they do with Married
Definitely.
at First Sight. They try to do it in 28 days. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going there. Um. So what? So you get married.
Okay.
What was one of the hardest things to make the adjustment? Like what was the hardest thing to adjust to rather?
Mm, probably decision making.
Mm.
Decision
Oh wow.
making.
Yeah.
That's because it shows up everywhere.
Right. The smallest thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Decision making.
Oh
Like
gosh, yes.
balancing your independence and your
Yes.
freedom.
Yes.
Like, I can make this decision on my own. I've been doing this for 30 years.
I know what
I
to
don't
do.
need anybody to tell me
Right.
how to do this.
Yeah.
But decision making equals consideration.
Ooh, that's yes.
So, do I consider him in my decision?
Mm-hmm. That
Because it shows up when
is
you don't.
real. Yes.
It does. It shows up bigger when you don't versus when you do.
Yes. That is so real.
A
Oh
lot.
my goodness. Yeah.
It can be from little things like how you wear your hair.
Yes.
Like, oh, he might have said he didn't care,
Right.
but you know.
Yes, but you can tell what he may
Mhm.
not have
Mm-hmm.
a preference, but you see the attention you get if you wear it a
Mm-hmm.
certain way.
Mm-hmm. It could
Yeah.
be things from as how you wear your hair,
Mm.
what you having for dinner, what
Yes.
time should you come back
Mhm.
from hanging out with your friends.
Yes.
Because you used to just
Yeah.
coming back and it's all good.
Pull up.
Yeah. But this is not the time that I expected you as my
Right.
wife to come back.
Yes. So do you have those conversations or is it just a trial and error?
Well, you can have a conversation now because I'm just telling you.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah.
But you won't have the conversation if you're not, the
Intentional.
situation isn't
Yes.
brought to you.
Got you.
Right? So going back to the transition period, like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I'm used to going for this event, going whenever I feel like it, coming back when I
Yeah.
feel like I'm ready to come back.
Yes.
You may call like, hey, I'm on my way. Mm-hmm. You get that, mm-hmm.
You already know.
You already know.
It's like I might want to stay out a little longer because it
Or-
might be a while before I come out again.
You know, and it's not, they don't trust you. It's probably, sometimes it can be just the expectation of you as their wife, not their
Right.
girlfriend.
Yes.
To be back home by what they consider
A
a
respectable
respectable time.
time.
Now, some people may be like, go ahead, do your thing.
Yes.
And they probably gonna say, go ahead, do your thing. But in the back, they like, mm-hmm.
Let's see what this thing look like.
Yes, because at the same time, they haven't thought about it.
Right.
Until again, it's like, I'm sitting at home.
And she's
It's
not
1
here.
o'clock.
Right. He's
I didn't know I
not
was
here.
gonna feel some kind of way.
Right. Oh, that's so true.
Right?
It's yes, you're right.
Until they in the
Ooh.
situation. Okay, I am feeling some kind of way.
Yes.
I'm talking to my boys, I'm talking to my girls, and they're like, he ain't back yet? What?
Which
He's
never
not back
helps.
yet.
Which never helps.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, that's one of the things, the decision making and considering them, how it makes them think,
Yes.
how it makes them feel,
Okay.
and how it makes them look.
That part.
Mm-hmm.
Honey. Ooh. So these young girls out here married,
What's young?
younger than us. Look. And I would say 30s.
Mm.
I mean, and yes, it's a learning process,
Mm-hmm.
but whew, honey, some of them be bopping and bopping.
Well, that's about the age it was for me when I
Mm-hmm.
got married. And yep, you'd gone through the club life,
Phase, yeah.
yep, and I married older,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's a part of what you deal with too. It's like
Yes.
what is their what's been their experience. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you can't miss this piece. What is their experience with marriage versus your experience with
Yes.
marriage?
Right. And that's whether they've been married before or just people they know that's married, their parents, just
Yeah,
yes.
because that is what's painted their picture.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even realize that this is what expectations they're putting on you.
Right.
So that's why it's good to know that village.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the village a little too.
Okay.
Because what happens if you have friends that your husband doesn't like?
Mm, I don't think I've dealt with that
That's good.
because um, I try to make sure I'm sharing who
Mm.
they are,
Right.
and I always try to. I mean, my friends are good people.
Right.
And for what reason would they not like them? Is it how they carry themselves?
Mm.
Well, if they're not carrying themselves in a way that he probably would like, probably isn't a way that I would, necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, if there was the situation,
Mm-hmm.
right, is always that big C word. Why you don't like her? What is it?
What's the big C word?
Communicate.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Clearly.
Like, I'm a big root cause person. So
Yes.
why don't you like her?
Right.
It could be because when she goes out, she attracts this.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking for this,
Right.
and and it's like, oh, okay, maybe it's something you never even realized.
Right.
Now, for me, let me not disrespect my spouse and say, well, I'm still gonna go anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my time with her is different,
Right. It's
right?
not going out.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he might be fast. She
Right.
might be out
Yes.
thirsty,
Honey. Yes.
and and if he's seeing that, he's also I can trust that he's seeing the perspective of other men
Yes. Oh, yes.
because you know,
We don't see it the same way, right?
mm-mm,
Or it's also just because she out there doing it doesn't mean I am, but the
right?
perception of that is
Mhm.
in why you out
Because
there
what
with
she's
her.
attracting
Yeah.
is going to see the same thing that he would see. Because he's telling
Mm-hmm.
you, just like if I was out there and I saw a married woman out here hanging out with a friend that's
Yeah.
all out, I'm thinking married woman's
All out.
open to, right?
Yes. Yes.
So he's trying to
Mm-hmm.
tell you, like, okay,
Right.
okay, I see you. So it's
Yes.
again trusting what his opinion, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just that situation. But again, it would all come down to why.
What? Yeah. What's the reason?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, thank goodness he is okay with all my friends.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good. I mean, it's just interesting because to your point, it's like there's things that even with them, what if so we always say birds of a feather, which I'm not a huge proponent of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I'm an adult
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm.
gonna do, you know what I mean? Just because we are out having a good time does not mean,
Mature,
yeah, mature.
adult.
Yes, mature. Because, yeah,
That allows you to see
yes.
that he could be up the block,
Mm-hmm.
but up different feather,
Yes.
right?
Right. Yeah. It's like just I still have to have that trust in him. And at the end of the day, I can't control you. You're going to do what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
All I got to say is
Don't do it. Don't get.
don't let it get back to me. That's it. So, oh my gosh, I just sent this meme to a friend of mine. And it said, this woman caught her man. It's probably fake, but it was funny. This woman caught her man cheating.
Uh-huh.
And instead of breaking up with him, she stayed with him and created a fake account and like blackmailed him and was like, sent him all the evidence and was like, if you don't send me this amount of money, I'm gonna tell your wife or your
Oh.
girlfriend. I was like, oh
Did he
wow.
send the money?
I don't know. It was just I was like, oh.
But if he sent the money, that meant he knew.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, would I want him to come clean
Mm.
or send the money?
You want them to send the money.
Well, I want the money, obviously, because I asked for it.
Yeah. Because those are the decisions that 15 years of marriage, you're going to get that controversy. You can get situations that make you question things.
Yes.
Because it's life, it's
Yes.
time, it's years, it's like the devil busy. I'll just put that way.
Every
The devil
day.
stay busy. So I will say, like, being able to, you got to talk it out.
And that's what I was going to say, too. I think it's marriages that I know, like people who have been in long marriages, it's because they don't run at every little sign of whatever. You know, you work. Yes, you have to sit and work through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you have to reflect on your part. What part did you play in it?
Most of the time. That's the best time. Like,
right.
And I'm saying communication, you know, silence is also a form of communication.
Oh, yes. I'm great at that. I'm great at that part of communication. That's my jam.
Limited time.
I know. You know.
I'm saying silence to go back and reflect, not to cast you out. And make you reflect. I'm gonna make you reflect.
Reflection will happen. Like,
but when you're in the same space,
it's hard.
So it's different when you know, when you see, like, all right, I can separate, I can go back to my space and just cast and let you sit over there and figure it out.
Yes.
But when you're in the same house, that's different.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to. There's sometimes when you just minimize the conversation because you still. I don't like tension. Me personally, I don't like tension.
Yes.
But I do understand. Again, I have to learn how my spouse loves, communicates,
yes,
and apologizes. And sometimes I'll go back to, like, the Bible's like, you just plant seeds.
Yes.
I'm a strong believer in planting seeds and watching them grow. Because if I plant a seed, you don't expect it to grow right in front of you.
It's not Jack and the Beanstalk.
No. So I may plant a seed with the understanding that I'm planting a seed of a thought or how I'm feeling or what I'm seeing or what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
And I trust not just him, I trust the village because I'm trusting God in the middle of us to now nourish it, you know, and add and water it. There have been scenarios where I'm like, I may plant a seed and a friend or a colleague or coworker could come in and start saying stuff.
Yes.
Or you don't go to church.
Only because the pastor gonna preach.
Right, all on the toes.
Yes.
And you're like, ooh, she did just say something.
Right.
And it's getting watered. And over years, I will say 15 years, I've seen a lot of seeds grow.
Okay.
A lot of seeds grow, especially with me, right? I'm an analytical person. Let me figure out the root cause, whatever, to survive. But I also had to become more, more humble and be able to respect my head.
Yes.
In a way that I'm like, oh, yeah. So you asked the hardest thing. Now I'm going to tell you what the real hardest thing is. You remember we said, like, you had your family, the other couples around that painted that picture of marriage? When somebody came in there and took that little board and said, shh, and that whole picture was gone.
What do you mean?
Your vision
of what it's supposed to be and get it, and it being just shattered. Like,
it's not that.
And I'm sure it doesn't take long for that to be shattered. Wow.
It's kind of, what do they call that little ease board?
Whatever, little etch-a-sketch. Yes.
So you're sketching all along the way, right?
Oh my goodness.
You should have joint bank accounts. He should be the one that does all of this outside work.
Right.
You should be the one that does all of the inside work. Or you should be he should drive you around everywhere.
Or like fill up your tank or all these things.
Things,
Yes, that may
right?
work for other
You should
people.
cook 4 nights out of the week.
Girl. Yes.
His pictures and your etch a sketch,
Yes.
right? And then you get in your own, and those things just start going
Right.
away because I can't cook, or
I don't want to cook.
your driving scares me. Like
Honey.
all
Yes.
these little things will start etching away,
Mm-hmm.
and you trying to still draw it
Right.
when it's not there. It's the wrong. Like you didn't realize that these sketches were with two different other people.
It's almost like the markers, the invisible markers, right?
Yes.
Like you start and then it goes away. And you're like, wait, like what?
It's gone. It's
Yes.
gone. So it's like when those things you painted that picture,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, but I thought we were supposed to have this type of account, and I thought
Right.
we were supposed to get up and go to church every single Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and because this is what I experienced or this is what I saw, or it could be the reverse. This is
Mm-hmm.
how I saw arguing happen.
Right.
This is how I saw disagreements happen.
Yes.
And you get that's the first phase of like this doesn't work the way I thought it was supposed to work.
Right.
So then it's like, well, now I gotta paint my own picture
Yes.
and get out of your own head, get out of your own
Mm-hmm.
way, and then
Yeah.
figuring out what your picture looks like. Let's draw
Wow.
our own. That was the hardest thing.
That sounds hard because you're right. It's like we all have these, and this is part of this conversation. These preconceived notions that we have made up and pulled from
And you don't even realize
wherever.
it.
Yeah,
TV.
Yes, social media, all the things.
Yes.
Yes. So one other thing that I wanted to touch on, and I think you mentioned it initially, was like that balance between you're a career woman, you're one of my finest sororers. Then it's, you as a person, just you. And then you're a mom, you're a wife. Like, how do you manage all these roles?
Who says I'm managing? I first was I lost Bethany with raising children.
Okay.
My children were born back to back, like 11 months apart. And my dear husband, and I used to like, let me go back. I used to dance at church all the time, right? Or as choreographer and all that stuff.
Wow.
And having the kids, you can't do that.
Right.
Well, I couldn't do that because it was like the time and picking them up and all that. And he saw one of my peers at church, like, when y'all got practice, she coming back. Because he said, I needed something.
Yes.
He saw that I needed more.
Yes.
I didn't even see it.
Yes.
I was in a fog.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
He saw that I needed to get back. And he was willing to pick up, handle what needed to be done so I could have
Step
a
it
little
up.
piece of me.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
So that was the beginning. And then he just opened the doors and he just kept going. So,
right.
And then, but I will say with only because he helps, he's there. It's only because he's there.
Yeah.
That I am able. And then we had a really good conversation not too long ago about my passions. And for me, my passions are given back to young ladies around the teen, early 20s.
Okay.
And helping them prepare for their career.
Yes.
And I'm doing this through
at work
or
okay.
Right? Being, in my sorority.
Okay.
And I mean, work is work. I'm gonna thrive at work.
Right.
So he understood my passion, and I have not had any concerns at all. But it wasn't until I communicated that.
Right.
I had to communicate the why.
Yes.
I want to be more engaged with A, B, and C. So it knew it wasn't I'm just going, I'm just doing. I'm just, like, right. Now you know my purpose.
Right.
So that helps in balancing it with young ladies, my children. They know why. Right? They know why. And I bring them along when I can. And because I'm still trying to show them
yes,
what to be balanced looks like, to have more. And it was Michelle Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Michelle, who told me something when when I was pregnant with, I think, the second
Mm-hmm.
or maybe the first. I don't know. They was all blur. She was like, when you're a mother and you're nursing, you have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't eat, you don't have any nutrients to pass along to your children.
Yes.
So giving back, going and doing stuff with, with work or going to give back in the community, that's me eating.
Yes. Filling your cup.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if I don't eat, I'm no good for them.
Yes. You have
Girls
nothing to give them.
trips are the best
Honey.
smorgasbord.
Love a good girl. I do love a good girls trip.
Yes.
Yes.
No,
I do.
no time to get up. Nobody to think about what y'all gonna eat.
Well, it all depends on who you go with. You have to have the right, like some people are like, we got this itinerary. I'm like, honey, I'm on vacation. I don't
set the
do that.
expectations at the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. So, if you had one piece of advice to give a single person, what would that be about marriage?
Are they getting ready to get married?
One,
Do they want to be married?
Yeah, wanting to be married.
They want to be married. First, I mean, and I'm asking these things because
it's different, right?
How old are you?
Mm-hmm. I would say 30s.
All right.
30s, 40s. Mm-hmm.
30s, 40s, and you want to get married.
Yes.
One thing I would say is, are you ready as an individual for whatever comes, for whomever comes? But don't get focused on looking for it.
Yes.
Because you get so focused on looking for it that you're setting up your own vision of what is for
it's
you.
Supposed to be. Right.
And when it should be, it will be.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I asked that about the age, because it's easier to accept the whenever it will be.
When you're younger. Yes.
But not until you're ready and he's ready or she's ready.
Yes.
Will you find each other?
Yep.
But don't go out there trying to look and make the other person, because
ready.
now everybody you're dating
is the one.
And who you're trying to make into this Etch-a-Sketch just gonna disappear
anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, why? Like, just, I will say, enjoy each person. Use them as a lesson.
And learn, right. If you're not learning from your dating and your experiences, you're not really preparing. And I always say that too. I was like, don't be out looking for someone. How about focus on you and being that person that you know what I mean? I was talking to my niece, I think it was yesterday, and I was like, people focus so much on chasing, right? Or looking, and no, how about focus not even on your appearance? Focus on who you are inside, because sometimes people are ugly. You know what I mean? And that's not going to attract what you truly need. It's going to attract ugly.
That reminds me of like the image I remember in like early in the 20s when I would go out to the parties in the clubs. And you have the girls that sit at the bar like this.
Right. Yes. Waiting
for the good time.
Honey, I'm on a dance floor.
And when you already having a good time,
yes,
that's what is attracting.
Yes.
Not you sitting here and now, Lord forbid, they holding the phone.
Yeah.
Who are they gonna text you?
Right.
Like, how are they gonna approach you?
Yes.
You obviously occupied.
You don't want to be here. You're not here.
Not open.
Yes. That is
so.
That's so true.
I would definitely say use each experience view each experience for what you're gonna grow from it. And then you can be in that moment.
Yes.
I wasn't looking
either. Not that I'm married or engaged. But I would say definitely for my last relationship, I was so in a space. I think I had been single for a year. And I was just like in my groove. Like, didn't even care.
You were at the
Like,
party.
I was.
Yeah.
I actually, yes. And it was, having a great time with my friends and just like, what? Who? Oh, hey, how you doing? Okay.
They're not
Oh, you're
adding to your
talking. Like,
happiness.
what? Like, like,
Yeah.
wasn't even, that just wasn't on my radar because I
Yeah.
was in such a good place, a
Yeah.
good space. And I think that if we focus more on just being in a good space
Mm-hmm.
and enjoying life, you will attract what is supposed to be
Because
for you.
so they call it happiness. It's part of happenstance or
Mm.
circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Circumstances determine your happiness.
Mm.
So if that person is there or not, are you still happy?
Right. And that's why my mom always says this. Your happiness should not be relying on someone else. And you
Yeah.
said it too. It's like, no, I had this conversation with my brother. I was like, he's like, are you good? I was like, I am amazing. Like, I built a great life for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that is going to be me or add someone down the line, I'm having a great time.
Good.
I was like, so do not worry about me, bro. I'm good. He's
I'm
like,
good.
okay.
Good.
Yes, with my black Christmas tree.
I'm sitting here looking at it and just looking at it. I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit like Empire.
I'm gonna add some color next year.
Like Empire, the color coming across the screen. Everything in there was like black.
Yes.
I'm like, are there ornaments on there?
Yes.
Yeah, there are. Black ones.
Black one.
So is it the light that's reflected? I know y'all want to see this tree, but it is. I mean, it's still cute. It's very you.
Thank you.
It is true to my favorite color is black. Why do I need green?
Oh.
Not green with black ornaments, though. At least we know you're committed.
Committed.
Yo, there's a black star.
There is. In a skirt. Look at in a black skirt. Anyway, it was I enjoyed you so much.
Same.
I'm so excited. I can't wait till everyone has a chance to listen to this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, drinktowemarried.com. You can find us on social media at Drink to We're Married. Cheers.